People are staring into these feeds all day. And these feeds are turning you into it. So, the craziest thing have been happening lately, and I kind of want to try to put my head around it, because this is affected me a great deal, more than you would expect. Of course I'm talking about Charlie Kirk, and just the absolute misery, hell that we're falling into. And I think that there's some great representation as to what is happening. And there's been quotes, philosophy quotes, and things that warn us of this situation that we're in right now for a long time. And the one that sticks out most to me is Nietzsche. Nietzsche says, "Those who fight monsters should be careful not to become a monster. For when staring into the abyss is staring back into you." And that sounds, that sounds kind of cool, right? That's just a cool quote. And I remember years ago, I wrote that down. And that quote actually saved my life. A different story that we can talk about later, but I think this is actually more important than my life, because this is happening to everybody, the whole society in general. And that's exactly what is happening. People are staring into this monster. And the monster is the algorithmic feed on social media that is designed to draw and keep your attention. And the easiest way to keep someone's attention is by presenting risk and fear, because you have a mechanism in your brain that's kind of designed to interpret and predict risk. It's kind of like, it's your sympathetic nervous system, basically your amygdala, your hippocampus, your pituitary gland. It's all these things that are honed into and designed to help you live longer. And these algorithms and the people that have designed them, not, no ill intent when they designed these algorithms, but causing an underlying issue with everybody, me, you, and you have to understand that you're susceptible to this I don't even want to call it manipulation. I just want to call it, they're taking advantage of bias that everyone has to try to lead them and keep them on their platforms. And they use, like I said, these different techniques, these specific neurotransmitters in your brain that make you feel happy or sad or angry or loved, are all being triggered when we're reading these things constantly online. And yeah, sure, it's great to see a cool cat video, cat doing something cute, And you're like, that's kind of triggering uh, oxytocin. It's that oxytocin is like that love chemical. When your dog comes up and licks you, or you hug your mom or dad or whoever, and you just feel that love, that connection. That's oxytocin, and that's pretty good, right? I mean, I like that one, but that's not what keeps your attention for very long. The attention grabber is, say, norepinephrine or cortisol. Those are specific neurotransmitters that are designed to keep you in fear, and it activates your sympathetic nervous system. And there's no controlling that. You have no control over that. There are things that happen in your brain that you don't even know happen. For instance, you see a threat, your amygdala picks that threat up, especially if you had something traumatic happen to you in the past. Your amygdala threat detection center of your brain is kind of hyperactive, say, and it will detect these minor little threats that maybe aren't even really threats, but what it does is it sends a message to your pituitary gland. Your pituitary gland sends a message to your adrenal glands, and your adrenal glands produce adrenaline, get you ready to fight, right? That's what it does. That's called your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. And you have a couple different hypothalamic pituitary axes, but that's the one that these algorithms are keying into. And what that does is holds and keeps your attention. And the more attention you pay to something, the more you stay on the platform, because you want to see what's next, because you want to predict this threat. You want to predict what might happen to you. And that's the key to getting paid. That's where all the advertisements get all their views, and because people want to pay attention to this, because the more threat, the more you pay attention. So what they do is they will try to show you as much threat as possible, because they know you will be then paying attention the most. And unfortunately, what that does is, back to my original quote, not my quote, Nietzsche's quote, those who fight monsters should be careful not to become a monster, for when staring into the abyss is staring back into you. And that means that the abyss is way bigger and way darker and way stronger than you could ever be, or me, or anybody that I've ever met in my entire life. This abyss has the ability to turn you into it. And the reason I know this is because the abyss has turned me into it. Fortunately, I read that quote years ago, and it popped into my head right before I was about to do something terrible. And I said, I'm the monster. Everything I hate has turned me into it, because that's all I focused on. That's all I looked at, were the bad things. And this was bad things happening to me in particularly, but you can add those things up. If you add up every bad thing you've ever seen, specifically bad things that have happened to you, it leads to a really bad outcome, and you don't want to do that. Luckily, I had read that quote, and I was like, it has turned me into it. and it was like an epiphany. Scared me. Like I for years I still think about that particular moment when that revelation came to my mind, when I realized that I was the monster. Because I never thought I was capable of becoming a monster. I'm just normal old Trav, pretty cool, chill dude, likes to read books, likes to be happy and talk to people and make YouTube videos. And never did I think that I could become everything that I hated. But sure enough, I did. And I wasn't strong enough to stop it. Luckily, I seen it, and if I had never read that quote and never thought about that, I would have just become all of it. And I think that's what's happening to society. You look at your X or Twitter or Blue Sky or Facebook or Instagram, TikTok, whatever social media platform that you get on, you see these certain threats, and when you hang on that threat and read that and watch that video from start to end and send it to your friends, that causes the algorithm to basically say, hey, look, this guy thinks this thing's a threat. We're going to send him more of the same stuff because that will keep him on this platform. And then when you constantly look at that threat, look at those things that you hate, you become it. It turns you into it. That's what Nietzsche means. And I know, like, that's an explanation of it, but it's not the realization of it. There's a big difference when you realize it. And yeah, I mean, there's no comparison. It's kind of like thinking, what it's going to be like when you see your first child born, and then actually seeing it. It's completely different. People are staring into these feeds all day, and these feeds are turning you into it. And that's exactly what happened. That's how radicalization happens. These algorithms that are designed to keep you there and show you threats. They present these terrible things that could happen to you. Your brain wires in a way that you see everything as these threats. And that's just neuroplasticity. That's how your brain works. So, and I'm going to show you how they know these things and why it works. So just go with me. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then just answer them to yourself. You don't. So, okay, here we go. What is 1 + 1? What is 2 + 2? What is 4 + 4? What is 8 + 8? Name a vegetable. Okay. How many of you said carrot? Because that's the way neuroplasticity works. You have these simple questions and you think of something simple. And it's all plotted out. People know that. And people know how to keep your attention. But this is the most important topic I have ever covered. And the people say, well, what can we do about that? What can we do about being manipulated or being controlled by these algorithms? And the truth is, it comes down to, like, I can't help you. Your mom can't help you. Your bestie can't help you. It has got to be a conscious decision that you make, because the algorithm is way stronger than you doing something for somebody else. You can't do it because, your mom says, hey, you should do this. It's like quitting smoking, probably worse. You can't you're not going to quit smoking for somebody else. You're just not going to do it. You're doing it for you. That's the only way it can happen. It's like the most addicting substance, like, heroin or smoking. You can't quit that for anybody. You have to do it for you. So I would say that's probably some of the most addictive things, man. Cocaine, heroin, smoking, nicotine, caffeine, and the algorithm. Like, that's right up there. And the only way you're going to be able to stop it is if you stop it. So that's what's happening. I mean, there's been movies that have showed this, and I think it's really cool. Ghostbusters 2, right? A lot of people have seen that. But Ghostbusters 2, they go, and there's all this evil and these ghosts that start coming around New York City. And they end up finding this river of slime.
Slime! What? It's a river of slime! There's gotta be 25,000 gallons of it!
Underneath Manhattan. And the river of slime underneath society right now is the algorithmic social media feed that keeps you addicted. And right, so Ray, Egon, and Winston, they go down into the sewers of Manhattan to try to find this slime. And they find it, and as they're looking at it, they're trying to measure it.
You know how much negative energy it must have taken to generate a flow this size?
Hey, New York. What a town.
All right, see how deep it is. Get a sounding.
Yeah. All right. 6 feet. 12 feet. 12? Even something's pulling it.
Hold on.
Right? They're trying to see how deep it goes. And then Winston gets pulled in.
I'm trying to hold it. Give me a hand.
Ray, help.
Give me a hand.
Give me a hand. Ray, help. Hold Ray's got something. Got it. Hold it.
Get his belt on.
Ernie. Oh. It's not. Hold it.
Wait.
Wait.
What happens when one friend gets pulled into a river of slime? Everybody else jumps in. And they jump in for the best of intentions, to try to save him, to go with him. And when they finally get out of this river of slime, they're covered in it. They can't get it, it's all over the clothes, it's all over them. And they start calling each other stupid. Like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? Why are you going to let me do this? And they're like best friends who these two guys just tried to save him are now like fighting in the streets, and they're going after each other. And Egon realizes what's happening, and he says, hey man, it's the slime. It's this slime. We got to get this stuff off. We got to get it off of us. And when they get it off of them, they start like stripping off their coats and, taking their clothes off. They get the slime is detached. The slime is not on them anymore. And they realize what they were doing. They were trying to kill the people that they once were their best friends. Because the slime was the slime was controlling them. They had no control over it because the river of slime was way bigger, way stronger. The only thing that they could do was disengage from it and get away from it. I think that's what we have to do. I mean, there's another particular spot in the movie that when they got the monster back into the painting, right? Vigo is the monster that they created with their hate and just miserableness. Everyone created this river of slime, and it gave Vigo power. And they finally get the monster, Vigo, back into the painting. And what happens is Ray is looking at this painting. He's staring this river of slime and Vigo, this monster, staring it in the face. And he can't help it. He's drawn to it. And what happens is Ray turns into the monster.
Ray, we'd like to shoot the monster. Could you move, please?
Ray? Ray?
No! I, Ray, and Vigo shall rule the earth. Vigo!
Rest of the Ghostbusters, they hose him down with some positive slime.
Now!
I mean, we're not going to be spraying anybody with slime, positively charged slime. We're not doing that. It has to be you. You have to take the personal responsibility to not look into the painting. Do not look into the slime. Do not let the slime or the algorithm, Twitter, Blue Sky, X, whatever. Don't let it turn you into it, because that's exactly what happens with the radicalization. And it's not just, unfortunately, it's not just social media. It's all media now. And they do it because social media is so prevalent. If I want news, I get it from normal people. The thing that keeps people's attention is the negativity. And the more people that get drawn into these videos or these tweets, this river of slime, this monster, the more people it attracts. And the more people it has, the stronger it grows. You can take somebody that's, say, 10% possessed with this monster. It's got 10% of them. 90% of them you could talk to, sit down, have a conversation. You'll probably get along great, right? Talk about how cute puppies are, or what kind of cars you like, or whatever. The typical problems of life, or the typical fun stuff at life. You probably get along with 90% of the person who you see online who you absolutely 100% hate. 90% of them is normal human being. 10% has an ideological possession that causes them to think differently than you. Now, the problem is When you take somebody who's 10% possessed and you put 10 of them in the same room, well, now 100% possession. And those people, they still think that they're in control. They still think that it is them pulling the strings, but it's not. It's the slime, the monster, the abyss. That's what's in control, and they don't even know it. You could say it's a battle of good and evil. That's what's happening. That is what's happening, man. This river of slime is controlling society, this evil force. And the only person that can fix it is you. And the only person you can fix is you. Everybody tries to fix everybody else. Can't do it. You ain't going to fix nobody. You ain't going to change nobody's mind. You can slowly persuade somebody to do something, but if you get into a crowd, well, that slime is way more influential than you. And it will take everybody, and it will do its will through them. And that is exactly what is happening in society. And like I said, first thing you do is recognize that it can happen to you. Because it can. A lot of people think that they're stronger than they are. And they think that they can withstand this. But you can't. And it's really easy to just label somebody as evil. I don't think anybody's evil. Well, I know. So another Solzhenitsyn quote. I'm going to paraphrase this. If it would be so easy as to go and remove all the evil people doing evil things, but it's not, because the dividing line between good and evil runs down the center of every human heart. And who is willing to remove a piece of their heart? Nobody. So you have this evil that dwells within you. You have the capability to be a monster. And if you don't recognize that, then that monster will take you over. You will do the most terrible of things. The things that you hate. And, yeah, that's what's happening. That's what I have to say. So, if you found it interesting, or you found that you may also be a monster, or you know somebody that's turning into a monster, just please send them this video, So, all right. See ya.